Reading through the Bible in 1 year, June 5th, Deuteronomy chapter 9, Psalms 92 through 93, Isaiah 37, and Revelation chapter 7. Hear, O Israel. You are crossing over the Jordan today to go in to dispossess nations greater and mightier than you, great cities fortified to heaven, a people great and tall, the sons of the Anakim, whom you know, and of whom you have heard it said, who can stand before the sons of Anak? So you shall know today that it is Yahweh, your God, who is crossing over before you as a consuming fire. He will destroy them, and he will subdue them before you, so that you may dispossess them and make them perish quickly, just as Yahweh has spoken to you. Do not say in your heart, when Yahweh your God has driven them out before you, saying, well, it's because of my righteousness that Yahweh brought me in to possess this land. But it is because of the wickedness of these nations that Yahweh is dispossessing them before you. It is not for your righteousness or for the uprightness of your heart that you are going in to possess the land, but it is because of the wickedness of these nations that Yahweh your God is dispossessing them before you, in order to confirm the oath which Yahweh swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. So you shall know it is not because of your righteousness that Yahweh your God is giving you this good land to possess. You are a stiff-necked people. Remember and do not forget how you provoked Yahweh your God to wrath in the wilderness, from the day that you went out of the land of Egypt until you came to this place. You have been rebellious against Yahweh. Even at Horeb you provoked Yahweh to wrath, and Yahweh was so angry with you that he would have destroyed you. When I went up to the mountain to receive the tablets of stone, the tablets of the covenant which Yahweh had cut with you, then I remained on the mountain for 40 days and nights. I neither ate bread nor drank water. And Yahweh gave me the 2 tablets of stone written by the finger of God, and on them were all the words which Yahweh had spoken with you at the mountain from the midst of the fire on the day of the assembly. Exodus 20. Now it happened at the end of 40 days and nights that Yahweh gave me the 2 tablets of stone, the tablets of the covenant. Then Yahweh said to me, arise and go down from here quickly. For your people, whom you brought up out of Egypt, have acted corruptly. They have quickly turned aside from the way which I commanded them, and have made a molten image for themselves. Yahweh spoke further to me, saying, I have seen this people, and indeed they are a stiff-necked people. Let me alone, that I may destroy them and blot out their name from under heaven. And I will make of you a nation mightier and more numerous than they. So I turned and came down from the mountain, while the mountain was burning with fire, and the 2 tablets of the covenant were in my 2 hands. And I saw that you had indeed sinned against Yahweh your God. You had made for yourselves a molten calf, and you had turned aside quickly, again in only 40 days when God told them his commandments, from the way which Yahweh had commanded you. Verse 17, and I took hold of the 2 tablets and threw them from my hands and shattered them before your eyes. And I fell down before Yahweh as at the first, 40 days and nights. I neither ate bread nor drank water because of all your sin which you had committed in doing what was evil in the sight of Yahweh, to provoke him to anger. For I was afraid of the anger and the wrath with which Yahweh had provoked against you in order to destroy you. But Yahweh listened to me that time also. And Yahweh was angry enough with Aaron to destroy him, so I also prayed for Aaron at that time. Now I took your sinful thing, the calf which you had made, and burned it with fire and crushed it, grinding it very small until it was as fine as dust. And I threw its dust into the brook that came down from the mountain. Again at Taberah and at Massa and at Kibroth-Hattaavah, you provoked Yahweh to wrath. When Yahweh sent you from Kadesh Barnea, saying, go up and possess the land which I have given you. Well, then you rebelled against the command of Yahweh your God. You did not believe him, and you did not listen to his voice. You have been rebellious against Yahweh from the day I knew you. So I fell down before Yahweh the 40 days and 40 nights, which I did because Yahweh had said he would destroy you. I prayed to Yahweh and said, O Lord Yahweh, do not destroy your people, even your inheritance, whom you have redeemed through your greatness, whom you have brought out of Egypt with a strong hand. Remember your servants, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Do not look at the stiff neck of this people or at their wickedness or their sin, lest the land from which you brought us say, because Yahweh was not able to bring them into the land which he had promised to them. Because he hated them, he has brought them out to put them to death in the wilderness. Yet they are your people, even your inheritance, whom you have brought out by your great power and your outstretched arm. That is all for here. Let's go ahead and move on to Psalms 92 through 93. It is good to give thanks to Yahweh, and to sing praises to your name, O Most High, to declare your loving kindness in the morning, and your faithfulness by night, with the 10-stringed lute, and with the harp, with a resounding music upon the lyre. For you, O Yahweh, have made me glad by what you have done. I will sing for joy at the work of your hands, or the works of your hands. How great are your works, O Yahweh! Your thoughts are very deep, and a fool does not understand this. That when the wicked flourishes like grass, and all the works of iniquity blossomed, it was only that they might be destroyed forevermore. But you are on high forever, O Yahweh. For behold, your enemies, O Yahweh, for behold, your enemies will perish. All the workers of iniquity will be scattered. You have raised up my horn, like that of the wild ox. I have been anointed with fresh oil, and my eye has looked exultantly upon my foes. My ears hear of the evildoers who rise up against me. The righteous man will flourish like the palm tree. He will grow like a cedar in Lebanon. Planted in the house of Yahweh, they will flourish in the courts of our God. They will still yield fruit in old age. They shall be rich and fresh, to declare that Yahweh is upright. He is my rock, and there is no unrighteousness in him. Now Psalm 93. Yahweh reigns. He is clothed with majesty. Yahweh has clothed and girded himself with strength. Indeed, the world is established. It will not be shaken. Your throne is established from of old, for you are from everlasting. The rivers have lifted up, O Yahweh. The rivers have lifted up their voice. The rivers have lifted up their pounding waves. More than the voices of many waters, than the mighty breakers of the sea. Yahweh on high is mighty. Your testimonies are very faithful. Holiness befits your house, O Yahweh, forevermore. Now Isaiah 37. Now it happened that when King Hezekiah heard it, this is the report from the Rabshakeh, his blasphemous report that he had given, he tore his clothing. Again, this is a sign of repentance. Covered himself with sackcloth. Again, covering himself so that he doesn't show off his glory, I guess is a good way to put it. And entered the house of Yahweh. Then he sent Eliakim, who was over the household with Shebna the scribe and the elders of the priests, covered with sackcloth, to Isaiah the prophet, the son of Amos. And they said to him, Thus says Hezekiah, This day is a day of distress, reproof, and rejection. For children have come to the point of breaking forth, but there is no strength to give birth. Perhaps Yahweh, your God, will hear the words of Rabshakeh, whom his master, the king of Assyria, has sent to reproach the living God. And he will reprove the words which Yahweh, your God, has heard. Therefore, lift up a prayer for the remnant the remnant that is left. So the servants of King Hezekiah came to Isaiah, and Isaiah said to them, Thus you shall say to your master, Thus says Yahweh, Do not be afraid because of the words that you have heard, with which the young men of the king of Assyria have blasphemed me. Behold, I will put a spirit in him, so that he will hear a report and return to his own land. And I will make him fall by the sword in his own land. Then Rabshakeh returned and found the king of Assyria fighting against Libnah, for he had heard that the king had set out from Lachish. Then he heard them say concerning Tirhakah, king of Ethiopia, He has come out to fight against you. So he heard it and sent messengers to Hezekiah, saying, Thus you shall say to Hezekiah, king of Judah, Do not let your God in whom you trust deceive you, saying, Jerusalem will not be given into the hand of the king of Assyria. Behold, you have heard what the kings of Assyria have done to all the lands, devoting them to destruction. So will you be delivered? Did the gods of those nations, which my fathers have brought to ruin, deliver them, even Gozan and Haran and Rezeph and the sons of Eden who are in Telassar? Where is the king of Hamath, the king of Arpad, the king of the city of Sepharvaim, and of Hena and Ivah? Then Hezekiah took this letter from the hand of the messengers and read it, and he went up to the house of Yahweh and spread it out before Yahweh. And Hezekiah prayed to Yahweh, saying, O Yahweh of hosts, God of armies, the God of Israel, who is enthroned above the cherubim, you are God. You alone. Of all the kingdoms of the earth, you have made heaven and earth. Saying, the God of those other people, they may have been worshiping demons and idols, but you are the true God. Verse 17, Incline your ear, O Yahweh, and hear. Open your eyes, O Yahweh, and see, and listen to all the words of Sennacherib, who sent them to reproach the living God. Truly, O Yahweh, the kings of Assyria have laid waste to all the countries and their lands, and have cast their gods into the fire. For they were not gods, but the work of men's hands, wood and stone. So they have destroyed them. But now, O Yahweh, our God, save us from his hand, that all the kingdoms of the earth may know that you are Yahweh, you alone. Then Isaiah, the son of Amoz, sent word to Hezekiah. Again, this letter hadn't been given to him. It was just God telling him, send this letter. Thus says Yahweh, the God of Israel, because you have prayed to me about Sennacherib, king of Assyria, this is the word that Yahweh has spoken against him. She has despised you and mocked you, the virgin daughter of Zion. She has shaken her head behind you, the daughter of Jerusalem. Whom have you reproached and blasphemed? And against whom have you heightened your voice and haughtily lifted up your eyes? Against the Holy One of Israel. Through your servants you have reproached the Lord. And you have said, with my many chariots I came up to the heights of the mountains, to the remotest parts of Lebanon, and I cut down its tall cedars and its choice cypresses, and I will go to its highest peak, its thickest forest. I dug wells and drank waters, and with the sole of my feet I dried up all the rivers of Egypt. This is what the king said. Long ago, I did it. This is what God responds to him. Have you not heard? Long ago I did it. From days of old I formed it. Now I have brought it to pass, that you should devastate fortified cities into ruinous heaps. He's telling him, look, you're just a tool, and I'm using you for that purpose. Verse 27, So their inhabitants were short of power. They were dismayed and put to shame. They were as the plant of the field and as the green herb, as grass on the rooftops is scorched before it rises. But I know you're sitting down, and you're going out, and you're coming in, and you're raging against me. Because of your raging against me, and because your presumptuousness has come to my ears, or has come up to my ears, therefore I will put my hook into your nose, and my bridle in your lips, and I will turn you back by the way which you came. Then this shall be the sign for you. You will eat this year what grows of its own accord. In the second year, what springs from the same. And then the third year, sow, reap, plant vineyards, and eat their fruit. And the surviving remnant of the house of Judah will again take root downward and bear fruit upward. For out of Jerusalem will go forth a remnant, and out of Mount Zion survivors. The zeal of Yahweh of hosts will do this. Therefore, thus says Yahweh concerning the king of Assyria, he will not come down to the city or shoot an arrow there, and he will not come before it with shield or with a shield or throw up a siege ramp against it. By the way that he came, by the same he will return. He will not come to this city, declares Yahweh. Indeed, I will defend this city. I will defend this city, says the living God, to save it for my own sake and for my servant David's sake. Then the angel of Yahweh went out and struck. I'm going to say this again. Overnight, the angel of God went out to the place, went out to this army, and struck down that night 185,000 men in the camp of the Assyrians. The men arose early in the morning. Behold, all of them were dead bodies. Who can do this but God? He plucked their life from them overnight. So Sennacherib, king of Assyria, set out and returned home and lived at Nineveh. Now it happened that as he was worshipping in the house of Nisroch, his god, Adremelech and Sharezer, his sons, struck him down with the sword, and they escaped into the land of Ararat. And Esarhaddon, his son, became king in his place. And that is all the notes to there. Let's conclude today in Revelation chapter 9. Or 7. I can't math. Once again, we're in a prophetic book. You need to read the notes. There's a lot of people who have read this next section on the 144,000 thinking that there are literally only 144,000 people who will be saved. In fact, there's a whole group of people who believe this. You might know them as the Jehovah's Witnesses. Is it them or the Seventh-day Adventists? I'm reasonably certain it's the Jehovah's Witnesses. But with this, understand a few things. This is a highly symbolic book. The term thousand, especially used in this book, just means a large number. In the same way that in the book of the Psalms, it says that God owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. That doesn't mean that he only owns the cattle that inhabits the tops of 1,000 specific hills throughout the world. The point being made is that God owns all the cattle on all the hills because he owns this rock of the earth and everything in it. So the same thing is said here. When you see this number 1,000, understand, or the number 1,000 being given, it just means a very large number. It's symbolic language. And also we have 144,000. Well, what's that? It's 12 times 12. 12 tribes, 12 apostles. Let's begin, verse 1. After this, I saw 4 angels sitting at the 4 corners of the earth, holding back the 4 winds of the earth, north, south, east, west. They're holding back the 4 winds of the earth so that no wind would blow on the earth, or on the sea, or on any tree. Then I saw another angel ascending from the rising of the sun. having the seal of the living God. And he cried out with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was granted to harm the earth and the sea, saying, "Do not harm the earth, or the sea, or the trees until we have sealed the slaves of our God on their foreheads." And I heard the number of those having been sealed, 144,000 sealed from every tribe of the sons of Israel. From the tribe of Judah, 12,000 having been sealed. From the tribe of Reuben, 12,000. From the tribe of Gad, 12,000. From the tribe of Asher, 12,000. From the tribe of Naphtali, 12,000. From the tribe of Manasseh, 12,000. From the tribe of Simeon, 12,000. From the tribe of Levi, 12,000. From the tribe of Issachar, 12,000. From the tribe of Zebulun, 12,000. And from the tribe of Joseph, 12,000. From the tribe of Benjamin, 12,000 having been sealed. Might have noticed the tribe of Dan is missing. We'll get to that later. Verse 9. After these things I looked, and behold, a great multitude, which no one could count, from every nation of all the tribes and peoples and tongues, standing before the throne. And before the Lamb, clothed in white robes, and palm branches were in their hands. And they cry out with a loud voice, saying, "Salvation belongs to our God who sits on the throne and to the Lamb." And all the angels were standing around the throne, and the elders and the 4 living creatures, they fell on their faces before the throne and worshiped God, saying, "Amen. The blessing and the true glory and the wisdom and the thanksgiving and the honor and the power and the strength be to our God forever and ever. Amen." Then one of the elders answered, saying to me, "These, clothed in the white robes, who are they, and from where do they come?" And I said to him, my Lord, you know," saying he's not even going to bother trying to make a guess. And he said to me, "These are the ones who come out of the great tribulation. And they washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. For this reason, they are before the throne of God, and they serve him day and night in his sanctuary. And he who sits on the throne will dwell over them. They will hunger no longer, nor thirst any more. Nor will the sun beat down on them, nor any heat. For the Lamb at the center of the throne will shepherd them, and will guide them to the springs of the life, to springs of the water of life. And God will wipe away every tear from their eyes." That's it for today. That's all the notes, and that is all the text. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow. Behold, the word of the Lord.